welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And today we are going to begin a 2-day article, which is kind of funny. It's titled, I'm Not Eating That, 4 Foods with Very Strange Names. So it's not because the food looks weird, it's because the food has a weird name. And we're going to find out about I think 4 different foods in the next 2 days of this article that have some quite unusual names. And I think it's safe to say that you shouldn't judge a food by its name.
Yes.
Because, you know, it can be quite good.
Yeah, and I mean, that can be a little bit difficult if you're only looking at the menu and the menu has no pictures. Then you might think, oh, wow, this sounds super weird. I'm not gonna get it. But there's a lot of really good food that just has a weird name.
That's true. And on the other hand, there's a lot of food with a very normal, lovely sounding name. And then when you find out what it actually is, you go, why did they give it that name? I'm thinking of sweetbreads.
Oh.
Yeah, have you ever had sweetbreads? They're not sweet and they're not made of bread. Usually they're the inside organs of a cow. So if you're eating like the pancreas, which is an organ most people don't eat, you're probably having sweetbreads.
Wow, I would have never guessed, and I might have ordered that because I really like bread and I like sweet bread.
Exactly. You might think it would be a tasty dessert. Or how about beaver tails? It's a Canadian snack classic.
Oh.
No beavers were hurt and you're not eating a tail. It's actually just fried bread with sugar and cinnamon. It's basically a flat donut.
Oh, you know what? We have that in America, but we call it an elephant's ear.
An elephant's ear?
Yes.
Interesting. Since beavers are famous or popular in Canada, I guess that's why we have a name. And one food that I had as a kid that I love, toad in the hole. It's a British food. It's basically kind of a pastry or a dough with sausages in it. And the little sausages stick out. You see, so it looks like a toad or a frog sticking its head out of a hole.
Oh, okay.
But basically, it's just bread and sausage. So not so bad. But we have 4 more for you, 2 today, 2 tomorrow. Prepare to think about if your appetite will be ready after you hear about these strange foods, or normal foods maybe, with strange names. Let's check them out. Every Taiwanese food lover knows about coffin bread and cow's tongue cookies. But have you heard of these other unusually named foods from around the world? Welsh rabbit. No rabbits are harmed in the making of Welsh rabbit. Rather, it's a simple dish of toast that is topped with melted cheese and sometimes sauces, spices, or even beer. It is eaten across the UK and likely doesn't come from Wales. Why then is it called Welsh rabbit? Well, historians think that it probably started as a joke. This joke was designed to make fun of the Welsh by suggesting that they were too poor to eat real rabbit meat. All right, so yes, I'm not eating that. 4 foods with very strange names. Let's get into it. The article begins, every Taiwanese food lover knows about coffin bread and cow's tongue cookies. I think I've had both of those things.
I've had a coffin bread, but not cow's. I've never heard of cow's
it's kind
tongue
of
cookies.
that long, kind of pale brown, very crispy, a little bit sweet, kind of nice. Yeah, and it
try it.
I guess it looks like a cow's tongue. I don't look at cow's tongues very often, so I imagine it looks like that. But yes, 2 Taiwanese classics. But have you heard of these other unusually named foods from around the world? So let's begin our tour of the world going by weird named foods. What do we have to kick off with?
Yes, so the very first one is called Welsh rabbit.
Oh,
Welsh rabbit.
People eat rabbit. That's not too strange.
That's not so unusual. But what our article says, it says no rabbits are harmed in the making of Welsh rabbit, which must mean that Welsh rabbit is not actually made out of rabbit.
So it's called Welsh rabbit, but no rabbit in Welsh rabbit. All right, that makes no sense.
Yes, and so you see, it's actually very, very simple. It says, rather, it's a simple dish of toast that is topped with melted cheese and sometimes sauces, spices, or even beer.
Ooh, very interesting. I think that's called a cheese toasty in other places.
I was going to say, I would just call it bread with some cheese on it.
Right.
I don't know.
Bread with melted cheese. Okay, so the good news is, though, that no rabbits were hurt or harmed in making this dish. And if you're vegetarian, you can enjoy it too.
Yes. Okay. And so this word in our article, harm, that is just another word for hurt. So if we say that no rabbits were harmed, that means like we did not need to hurt or kill or anything in order to get this dish. They were not in any way, shape, or form injured. All the rabbits are safe and okay. And so we have our example sentence. It says, my business is being harmed by high taxes. Now you can see that there's not actual maybe physical harm being done to the business, but you also could use the word hurt here. So in some way it is being negatively impacted, so the business is being hurt or harmed by the high taxes.
If you don't study, your grades will be harmed because you might fail a test or something. Okay, and we also mentioned the melted cheese that is used to put on top of the bread for your Welsh rabbit. To melt something is basically to raise the temperature so that a hard, solid thing starts to turn into a liquid. The easiest thing, of course, to think of is ice. When you put ice, which is very cold, into warm water, which is not so cold, warm or even hot, that solid piece of ice will soon quickly turn into water. That ice is melting. Ice, of course, will start to melt once it gets above the temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. Other things might melt if you put fire on them, right? Something plastic, if it's in a fire, will start to twist and, change its shape, and maybe even drops of it will come off. That plastic is melting, but at a much higher temperature than ice would, for example. Here's an example you would definitely understand. The snow melted as the weather got warmer, in the same way that ice melts, because snow and ice are basically the same thing. So let's find out about Welsh rabbit, which does not include any rabbit. It is eaten across the UK and likely doesn't come from Wales. So it's called Welsh rabbit, Welsh being the adjective for things that come from Wales, but it doesn't come from the country of Wales. Here's a good question. Why then is it called Welsh rabbit? Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, historians think that it probably started as a joke. I don't get the joke.
I don't think we know the joke yet.
I don't get it.
But a lot of things seem to have started in kind of a funny way over time. And so that's something that we have to look back to historians to try to figure out, where did this come from and why is it funny? Why do they think it is a joke? And a historian is just a person who studies history. Their job is all about looking at the history, remembering the history, maybe organizing things, or some historians might need to write stuff down if it's a historian that's working now and recording something that's happening now. But basically, their whole job is to know and understand the history of something. Usually, you are a historian about a specific topic or a specific area or a specific time frame, because honestly, there's a lot of history in the world. You kind of can't be a historian about everything, because that would be a lot. But we have our example sentence, and it says, historians disagree about the age of the building and why it was built. So in that sentence, you see there were many different types of historians or different people discussing one thing, and they all had different theories. So that's why historians kind of have a tough time, because they have to interpret the history and make guesses where they don't know the information. And so now they say, this is a joke. So why is it a joke? Well, it says, this joke was designed to make fun of the Welsh by suggesting that they were too poor to eat real rabbit meat.
That's not funny.
No.
Laughing at them because they're poor? Oh my gosh. Okay, well, maybe that historian doesn't quite have the spirit of the joke. Maybe it's actually a bit funnier than that. But that's an interesting way of explaining where this food got this strange name. But I think now anyone can eat it.
Yes.
You can be the richest person in the world and still enjoy Welsh rabbit. All right, we'll take a break and then we'll be back with another weird food.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这2天的课程要介绍4种名字听起来很奇怪的食物。好，来看第一种，叫做 Welsh Rabbit。威尔斯兔子 ，Welsh 就是形容威尔斯的。那我们补充一下 ，Wales 它是指威尔斯，是英国的构成国之一。好，那么在威尔斯兔子这道料理的制作过程中，其实并没有兔子会受到伤害，它就只是一道简单的烤面包料理，然后在上面淋上了融化的乳酪，有时还会淋上酱汁啊、香料，甚至是啤酒。英国各地都有人在吃这种食物。只是话说回来，威尔斯兔子很有可能不是来自威尔斯那为什么会取这个名字呢？历史学家认为这原本可能是个笑话，为了取笑威尔斯人，暗示他们太穷了，吃不起真正的兔肉。好，单字 harm 这个动词表示伤害、危害或损害。那么 melt 表示融化。那么文中是用它的过去分词当形容词来表达融化的。而 Mike 老师在讲到冰融化的时候，他有提到摄氏0度 0 degrees Celsius。那我们补充一下 Celsius Celsius 这是指摄氏的，那字首的 C 有大写。下一个单字 historian 它就表示历史学家，是个名词。好，那这边3个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是 in the making of 加上名词，这是表达在制造某物的过程中。那么 making 在这边是不可数名词，表示制造、形成，像是Cocoa butter is a key ingredient in the making of chocolate. 可可脂是制造巧克力的关键成分。那第二重点是 make fun of 加上某人或某事物，就可以表达嘲笑什么什么，拿什么什么开玩笑。那它带有挖苦或是讽刺的成分。举例来说 ，They enjoy making fun of each other. 他们喜欢开彼此的玩笑。第3个重点是to 加上形容词或副词加上不定词 to be， 这是表达太怎么样而不能怎么样。那这个句型带有否定的意思哦。我们把这个形容词或副词摆在 too 的后面，然后呢，不定词 to be 前面还可以加入 for somebody or something 去表达对某人来说，就某事而言。像 The job offer was too good for him to refuse， 那个工作机会对他来说好到令人无法拒绝。好，接话课文中。
Dutch babies. Dutch babies are giant pancakes that are served with sweet treats like honey and fruit, or savory foods like bacon and eggs. Unlike regular pancakes, they're cooked in the oven. This makes them light and fluffy. They got their name when an American restaurateur started making German pancakes. She got the German word for German, Deutsch, confused with Dutch. The name has stuck with the dish ever since. All right, we are back with another food with a weird name. And I feel a little bit better about this food. Well, because we found out that the Welsh rabbit has no rabbit inside, right? Because the next food is called Dutch babies. And I really hope that there are no Dutch babies inside this food, because that would be a crime. That would be a terrible thing. So let's go on. Let's find out what exactly are Dutch babies. It says Dutch babies are giant pancakes that are served with sweet treats like honey and fruit or savory foods like bacon and eggs. Okay, they kind of sound like crepes or something like that. Yeah, good thing that there are no babies in them. We can all avoid eating that. Unlike regular pancakes, they're cooked in the oven. Okay, because pancakes you kind of cook in a frying pan or a griddle or something like that. These are cooked in the oven, a little bit different, but basically the same thing. And this, cooking them in the oven, makes them light and fluffy. Okay, I don't know quite where they got the name from, but I'm sure we will have that explained to us very soon.
Yes, and as we go on, we see that they got their name when an American restaurateur started making German pancakes. She got the German word for German, Deutsch, confused with Dutch. The name has stuck with the dish ever since.
Okay.
So in German, the German word for German is Deutsch, and Germany is Deutschland.
Deutschland, yeah.
And so she thought they were saying Dutch and called it a Dutch baby.
Because in English, Dutch means coming from Holland or the Netherlands. It gets a little confusing. I think there's that group of people in America, the Pennsylvania Dutch, who sort of live in an old-fashioned kind of way. I think they also came from Germany. And the same confusion over the word Deutsch got involved there. So there you go. They're not Dutch babies, they're German babies, but they're not babies. This is very confusing. I am very confused. It's easy to confuse people when you call a food a baby in some way. So to confuse is to get your mind all mixed up. You don't understand things, or you have the facts not in the right order. If you hear half of a conversation, if you walk in and you start reading a book in the middle and I ask you, what's the book about? And you're like, I don't know. I just read one page in the middle. I'm very confused. I don't have the facts organized. I don't have all the necessary information. And it's causing my mind to have many questions and this very powerful feeling of, I don't understand this. All right, let's look at the example sentence. Jill got the name of the book confused with a song that she likes. Okay, so she's reading this great book by Charles Dickens called Shake It Off.
Yep. And she got confused.
She got confused.
Is Taylor Swift doing a audiobook?
Yeah, she's got a new song called David Copperfield. Yeah, very interesting. All right, we don't want to confuse you guys more. We're going to call it for the day, and we're going to come back tomorrow with more great and weird named foods that are probably quite delicious.
第二个要介绍的食物是 Dutch Babies 荷兰宝贝煎饼。它是巨大的薄煎饼，然后会搭配蜂蜜啊、水果等等的甜食，那或者是搭配培根和蛋等等的咸食。和一般薄煎饼不同的是，荷兰宝贝煎饼是用烤箱烤的，所以会比较轻盈松软。Mike 老师就提到，一般薄煎饼是用平底锅，那老师说的 frying pan 就是平底锅、平底煎锅，还有提到 griddle 就是平底烤锅。好，课文接着就介绍了荷兰宝贝煎饼的名字由来。有一位美国餐厅老板开始制作德国的薄煎饼的时候呢，他就把这个德国 Deutsch 的德文单字和 Dutch 荷兰的把它搞混了。那从那时起，这道菜就一直使用了这个名字。好，我们来看单字 confuse， 它是指使困惑，将什么混淆、搞错。那它是个动词，我们常常用 confuse A with B 去表达误以为 A 是 B。文中则是用到 get A confused with B 来表达把 A 和 B 搞混了。我们补充它的相关词性 confusing 是形容令人困惑的， confusion 则是指混淆、困惑或者是混乱。好，那么以上今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Every Taiwanese food lover knows about coffin bread and cow's tongue cookies. But have you heard of these other unusually named foods from around the world? Welsh rabbit. No rabbits are harmed in the making of Welsh rabbit. Rather, it's a simple dish of toast that is topped with melted cheese and sometimes sauces, spices, or even beer. It is eaten across the UK and likely doesn't come from Wales. Why then is it called Welsh rabbit? Well, historians think that it probably started as a joke. This joke was designed to make fun of the Welsh by suggesting that they were too poor to eat real rabbit meat. Dutch babies. Dutch babies are giant pancakes that are served with sweet treats like honey and fruit, or savory foods like bacon and eggs. Unlike regular pancakes, they're cooked in the oven. This makes them light and fluffy. They got their name when an American restaurateur started making German pancakes. She got the German word for German, Deutsch, confused with Dutch. The name has stuck with the dish ever since.
Wow, look at this. Mary posted another picture of her baby. Her baby is so cute.
Yeah, baby is adorable, but she really shares a lot of her baby pictures on social media. Isn't that sharenting?
Sharenting? What's that? Is it a new parenting style?
No, it's not a parenting style. It's just when parents share lots of information about their children over social media.
Well, I guess it's not a good thing, right? So we shouldn't do that.
It's pretty dangerous.
Hi everyone, today's term is sharenting.
Yes, and it's a term that combines share and parenting. It refers to parents who share too much information about their kids online.
Exactly. It's a common phenomenon in the digital age. Many parents like to share their children's photos, achievements, and milestones on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and others.
And while it can be a great way to keep family and friends updated, excessive sharenting can potentially violate children's privacy or even expose them to cybercrime.
That's true. So it's important for parents to be mindful of what they're sharing and who can see it.
Here's an example sentence. She's been sharenting ever since her baby was born.
Or you can say, I think my cousin is over-sharenting. He posts about his kids every single day.
That's all for today's lesson. Remember to be responsible when sharing about others, especially children online.
And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.